Here on the Senate floor, and Jim Acosta of CNN. Let me see, I gotta find this. Jim Acosta on Twitter says, with a single speech, Senator Collins announcing her support for Kavanaugh has paved the way for a much more conservative Supreme Court for the next generation. Abortion rights, gay rights, climate change, and healthcare reform could well be impacted for decades to come. Yeah, there's no such thing as a right to an abortion, right? It's completely made up. There's a reason that abortion isn't mentioned at all in the Constitution, is because, number one, it didn't even exist back then, except for a woman falling down a flight of stairs. Stairs existed then, I assume. But, yeah, there's no right to an abortion. Reproductive rights is a joke. Your only reproductive right is the rights to have a child and raise them as you see fit, barring outright harm to the child, of course, right? Gay rights, not a right either, totally made up. I mean, we granted it to them, right? After the Bush years, everybody was just like, that's pretty messed up that they're straight up banning gay marriage, right? And then the backlash and the pendulum swung with Obama, and Obama and Hillary didn't even support gay marriage back when in 2008. But then when it was safe enough, right, then they came out and said, okay, now we're valiant defenders of all the gay people, right? But it's not right, right? Marriage is a sacred institution. I didn't quite understand it back then, but now I absolutely do. Marriage is not about love. Marriage is about raising children. Marriage is about a sacred and ancient institution that is the best way for children to be raised. Has nothing at all to do with love. You think, they love each other. It doesn't matter. Then go get a house together. Go get an apartment together. Go buy a dog together. It doesn't matter. It's not marriage, okay? There is only one type of marriage between a man and a woman, and you know what? I'm cool with states settling that decision as they see fit, right? It's not that big of a deal. Honestly, the only reason that I even think it's a big of a deal now is because the LGBTQ is trying to add a P on the end for pedophiles, right? And all the gays that are apologetic for pedophiles, they have none of my support. They can get out of here. I don't care if your marriage gets banned. Not at all. Not even close. Climate change, total fraud, right? Climate change. The climate's always changing, right? But the globe is not warming. They're basically just going off of computer models when they, say all this nonsense, apocalyptic, doom porn stuff, right? It's not happening, right? The data shows that everything is within a perfect range of natural variability right now with climate change. So if Brett Kavanaugh is going to prevent some carbon tax from being implemented and some, globalist UN, BS, all the better, because climate change, as people know it, is a total hoax and a fraud, right? We're entering grand solar minimum, right? All you need to do is look at the sun. See, there's no sunspots, right? There's no sunspots, indicating a magnetically weakened sun, right? We're going into a grand solar minimum, which historically correlates with periods of cold, right? The whole reason that people moved up into Northern Europe is because there was a middle-age warm period, right? And then there was a mini ice age, right? There's all these climate fluctuations, and it's absolutely been an integral part of our whole human history and our movement, right? But they say, because the climate's changing, it's all our fault, right? Carbon dioxide, plant food, and concentration of 0.04% of the atmosphere is governing the climate like a control dial. Oh, look, we got Mr. Cuck Schumer up here. We'll go ahead and mute him. Nobody cares what he has to say anyway. Healthcare reform, right? Like, I mean, how did Obamacare even get in there? The individual mandate was entirely unconstitutional. You can't force people to buy something they don't even want. I mean, it's a total joke, right? It was totally unconstitutional. Thank God that at least that part got repealed by the Trump tax, cuts, right? And yeah, that's Jim Acosta, and then somebody responded, "This is what getting owned looks like. Stu owned you, Jim." And Jim's like, "No, this is what bullying the press looks like, and it's shameful. My goodness, you guys had a big win today. Can't you win gracefully?" This guy's a total cuck. Even bigger cuck than old cuck Schumer up there. Right? And Dan Bongino, I think that's how his name is pronounced, he responds, "No, we can't. You wanted this fight and we gave it to you. Your lies, deception, and gaslighting have fractured this country. Start telling the truth and we'll consider returning to the old rules. Until then, the new rules are in effect. We win, you lose." That's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Alright, maybe we'll see what old Cuck Schumer has to say. You know, how perfect is it that this guy is related to Amy Schumer? They're both entirely degenerate, hideous, goblin creatures, and they're just terrible people. Just absolutely terrible people. Let's see what he has to say.
For the hearing, in order to inform the question, because they hired an outside prosecutor to question Dr. Ford as if she were on trial, because the White House kept the FBI investigation on a short leash, dictating the scope and even the kinds of questions the FBI was allowed to ask. Because Republican senators, sensing after Dr. Ford's testimony that a debate about the truth and facts was not working, adopted a cynical new strategy to shout, pound the table, and portray Judge Kavanaugh as the helpless victim.
Truth and facts. Listen to this guy. What a joke. Truth and facts. Are you kidding me? What a joke.
Because the President of the United States, stooping to new depths,
Stooping to
even
new
for
depths.
him, chose to stand before a crowd of thousands and cruelly ridicule a survivor of sexual assault.
How do you know she's a survivor?
And
There's no proof to her claims.
This grossly distorted, biased, unfair process run by the Republican majority, the Senate, is about to elevate a nominee who doesn't belong on the nation's highest bench.
Womp womp. You don't believe you don't belong anywhere in Congress, you degenerate piece of crap.
In the nation's highest court. Judge Kavanaugh doesn't belong on the bench.
But I'm a water boy.
His views, shrouding his jurisprudence in smoke so thick, the American people would never know what he really believed.
Yeah, we only had 500,000 documents to pour over. Yeah, we don't know.
Because he was chosen by a president and a far-right organization, both dedicated to overturning and undermining Roe v. Wade.
Womp
He did
womp.
not a thing to refute the presumption that he would want to overturn it too.
Who cares? It means the states
Judge
get to decide
Kavanaugh
their own
doesn't belong
abortion
on the
laws.
bench
It's a good call.
because
Roe v.
he was
Wade
chosen
should be
by far-right
overturned.
organizations that are bent on repealing health care protections for Americans with pre-existing conditions. And he did nothing to refute the presumption that he would too. Judge Kavanaugh doesn't belong on the bench because he believes that presidents should not be subject to investigations of any kind while in office, a distortion of our founding principle that no person is above the law.
Oh yeah?
Judge
Yeah,
Kavanaugh
except
does
for
not
Hillary
belong on the
Clinton.
bench because his jurisprudence is deeply skeptical of environmental protections, consumer protections,
Like global
workers'
carbon
rights,
tax.
civil rights, LGBT rights,
Oh, LGBT.
and rights of treaties and agreements with Native Americans.
Is that like sweet
and a
tea?
host of other hard-earned rights.
Mango tea?
Judge Kavanaugh doesn't belong on the
Earl
bench
Grey tea?
because he has repeatedly misled the Senate, putting into serious doubt his credibility and a judge.
Oh, his credibility, huh?
Credible,
Yeah, because you guys are
believable,
credible.
and honest.
You're not a bunch of just, you know,
all.
degenerate political hacks.
Judge Kavanaugh doesn't belong on the bench because he is an extreme partisan.
Extreme partisan. Can you hear that? Cuck Schumer said he's an extreme partisan. Oh,
He
Billy.
confirmed when he gave one of the bitterest, most partisan testimonies ever presented.
Look at this
by
chick on the
an
right, too. She does not look
Judge
happy to be
Kavanaugh
here.
doesn't belong on the bench because of his
Resting bitch
injudicious
face if I ever
demeanor.
saw one.
His partisan screed will go down ignominiously.
Partisan
in history.
screed!
And make it
Ignominious!
clear, it would be virtually impossible
You are a
for him to rule
Festizia.
impartially on the Supreme Court. Judges must be temperate judicious.
Jesus, Diane. Look at that. It's like a
Judge
freaking
Kavanaugh
Diet Pepsi turned into an overcoat.
But Republican leaders knew before he was nominated that Judge Kavanaugh was a very flawed choice.
Doesn't he look like one of the goblin bankers in Harry Potter? I mean, look at these glasses. Look at his face. He's a
He
goblin.
became a steamroller over truth, fairness, and our traditions of bipartisan cooperation.
Yeah, steamroller over your
Any
bullshit.
means necessary to reach their desired end. They blame Dr. Ford and Democrats for Judge Kavanaugh's flaws. They were intent on shrouding the truth because they knew that if the truth came to light, Judge Kavanaugh would be exposed as a truly flawed nominee.
Oh yeah, you're a perfect human, no cuck.
So, my colleagues, my fellow Americans,
My fellow
what is
Americans.
the appropriate response? Our country needs to have a reckoning on these issues.
Throw the bums
There is
out.
only one remedy. Change must come from where change in America always begins.
Oh, that sounds
Ballot
nice.
box.
The
So to
ballot box,
Americans,
yeah.
so
Hey, you just
many
wait for
millions
what's coming in the
who
ballot
are
box, old
outraged
cuck
by what
Schumer.
happened here, there's one answer. Vote. If you believe Dr. Ford and other brave women who came forward, and you want to vindicate their sacrifice,
Vindicate
Vote.
their
if
sacrifice.
you believe the
Ho
Supreme
ho
Court
ho.
should uphold women's rights, vote. If you believe the
Women's
Supreme
rights.
Court must protect health care and our pre-existing conditions,
The poor
that are
oppressed
protected
women.
now, vote. If you believe the Supreme Court should defend workers,
Diane
consumers,
Feinstein looks like she's already dead and
environment,
embalmed.
civil
She looks
rights,
like she's
native
being held up by
populations,
freaking puppet
Vote.
strings.
if you believe the Supreme Court should be a check on an overreaching president, vote.
Ovary
The
reaching?
process here in the Senate was a sham. And you
Sham
believe
wow.
Americans deserve better, vote. If you believe that Supreme Court justices
Das Vote.
should conform to the highest standards of character, impartiality,
Oh, when this degenerate slimeball starts lecturing about moral character, it's just freaking adorable.
vote.
Das
I
Vote.
understand. I share the deep anguish that millions of Americans are experiencing today. But I say to
Oh,
you,
my anguish.
fellow
Oh,
there is one answer. Vote.
Das Vote.
I yield the floor.
Oh, Cuck Schumer's done. You know what that means? It's vote time. Vote now. Vote now. Look at our pretty curtains and our Roman imperial designs. Big blue rectangles. Looks like a casino.
Majority Leader.
The Constitution
Huh? Mitch
of the United
McConnell.
States
Leader McConnell.
was made not merely for the generation that then existed, but for posterity. Those are the words of Henry Clay,
Henry Clay.
Kentucky's own. They underscore that the decision United States senators will make today will echo in the history of our nation. The very survival of our constitutional form of government requires an expert and independent judiciary. Without fair and impartial courts of justice,
It's a nice tie, Mitch.
Alexander
Nice
Hamilton
tie.
put it in the
Nice
Federalist
pink
Papers,
tie.
all
Look at this guy.
particular
He
rights
looks like he drinks a lot of
and
cow's milk.
would amount to nothing. The courts guard our rights, and the Senate guards our courts. That, Mr. President, is why today is such an important day.
An important day.
That is why the vote we
Hey.
take this afternoon,
You say what?
a vote to confirm a new Associate Justice of the Supreme Court
Whippersnappers?
of the United States, represents one of the most consequential decisions
Who whippersnapper stole my neck?
ever made.
Huh.
The members of this body are duty-bound to ensure we confirm
Duty.
justices of the Supreme
He said
Court
duty.
who are men and women of the highest character and the most superlative qualifications.
Superlative
So
qualifications.
fortunately, that is just the sort of nominee who stands before us today. 12 weeks ago, the President nominated a jurist who's been described by legal peers of all political stripes as a superstar, a serious scholar, and who is legendary for his preparation and
Legendary.
possesses the qualifications, the temperament, and the judicial philosophy to be an excellent associate justice.
But where's your neck, Mitch?
The President
Where's your
nominated
neck?
a brilliant student of the law. Those who taught and knew the nominee at Yale say, quote, "It is hard to name anyone with judicial credentials as strong as Judge Kavanaugh." They describe him
What you
as
eating back there?
a leading thinker and a wonderful mentor and teacher.
Munching on a cannabis gummy.
And those he's mentored, a diverse
Like, this is gonna
group
be a long
of
day.
bright young lawyers who clerked for Judge Kavanaugh, talk about his work ethic, his unflinching, honest advice, and his fundamental humility.
99 problems, but a Mitch
For
ain't
12
one.
weeks, the Senate has seen that this is not empty praise. We've seen the legendary preparation of a tireless judge. We've seen the patience of a committed mentor and teacher. We've seen the humility of a true intellectual who let his record speak for itself. Each of us have seen this for ourselves. Sum this up better than our friend and distinguished colleague, the senior senator from Maine, put it in her historic remarks yesterday. This is what the
Historic.
senior senator from Maine said.
A woman who believes in
It is
logic.
when passions are
Historic.
most inflamed that fairness is most in jeopardy. She said,
He's a squirrely looking dude,
passions
ain't
are
he?
most inflamed that this is the body whose members themselves uphold the same commitment to American justice that we seek in the judges who will make the Senate and the American people proud.
Oh, is that it? Vote now! Vote now!
As a reminder to our guests in the galleries,
My
expressions of approval or disapproval are not permitted in the Senate galleries.
Looks pretty tan. He's been away from
Under the
Indiana.
previous question, all post-cloture time has expired. The question is on the nomination.
Woo! All right.
Is there a sufficient second? Sergeant at Arms will restore order in the gallery.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Order in the court! Oh my God! Oh my God! He's a rapist!
Is there a sufficient
If
second?
we can just protest for 3 more weeks, we'll make it to the midterms. Woo!
There is a sufficient second.
4 more weeks. Not
The
3.
clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Alexander.
Woo!
Sergeant at Arms will restore order in the gallery.
Sergeant at Arms, time to slap that girl.
Sergeant at Arms will restore order in the gallery.
Follow through.
Sergeant at Arms will restore order in the gallery.
Oh, this is great. Send him out the airlock.
Sergeant at Arms has restored order in the galleries.
The Sergeant at Arms has restored order? It doesn't sound like it. Sounds like order is still being restored.
The Sergeant at Arms will restore order in the gallery.
Order in the court.
The clerk may continue.
Ms. Baldwin. Mr. Barrasso. Mr. Bennett.
We're taking roll
Mr.
call.
Blumenthal.
Roll call.
Mr. Blunt.
I wonder
Mr.
where
Booker.
Diane Feinstein is. Oh yeah, she's
Mr.
wearing a
Bozeman.
radioactive blue Diet Pepsi
Mr.
overcoat.
Brown. Mr. Burr.
Mr. Burr
Ms. Cantwell.
can't
Mrs.
do very much
Cowsill.
well at all.
Mr. Carden.
Who's in a wheelchair?
Mr. Carper. Mr. Casey. Mr. Cassidy. Ms. Collins.
The Sergeant at Arms will restore order in the gallery.
This Sergeant at Arms needs to get some backup.
And you.
Mr. Coons. Mr. Corker. Mr. Corning.
Kavanaugh!
Sergeant at Arms will restore order in the gallery. The Sergeant at Arms will restore order in the gallery.
Oh man, this is great. Who needs TV service when you've got live feeds of the Senate floor?
Ms. Cortez Masto. Mr. Cotton.
Cotton. F and
Mr.
A,
Crandall.
Cotton.
Mr. Cruz. Mr. Daines. Mr. Donnelly. Ms. Duckworth.
Duckworth.
Mr. Durbin.
A duck!
Mr. Enzi. Mrs. Ernst. Mrs. Feinstein.
Feinstein!
Mrs. Fisher.
The ranking member Feinstein!
The Sergeant at Arms will restore order in the gallery.
All you guys have to do is keep protesting for 4 more weeks. If he can just keep delaying
So
it.
late.
Yeah, I mean, we're at the vote now, so
Gardner.
you're kind of screwed. But yeah, just go ahead and keep protesting.
Mrs. Gillibrand. Mr. Graham. Mr. Grassley.
Mr. Graham.
Ms. Harris. Ms.
Who would have
Hassett.
thought? Lindsey Graham becomes a meme and
Hatch.
Jordan Peterson falters in logic.
Mr. Heinrich.
You hear what Jordan
Mr.
Peterson was saying? He's like, Kavanaugh should step down if he's confirmed. Like, I think Jordan
Mr.
Peterson, his money and friendship with prominent
Mr.
liberals is
Hogan.
going to his head, and now he's becoming a softie.
Mrs. Hyde Smith. Mr. Inhofe. Mr. Isaacson.
Is this like Harry Potter and his
Johnson.
friends? Who are these kids? Are they the delegates from Hogwarts?
Mr. Jones. Mr. Kane. Mr. Kennedy. Mr. King.
Mr. King.
Ms. Klobuchar.
Klobuchar. God, I feel dirty
Mr.
just
Kyle.
saying that name. Klobuchar.
Mr. Langford. Mr. Leahy.
Mr. Potter. Mr. Weasley.
Mr. Lee.
Miss Granger.
Mr. Manchin.
Clerk will suspend. The Sergeant at Arms will restore order in the gallery.
Shame.
The Sergeant at Arms will restore order in the gallery.
It's funny, you see these like girls who are pro Kavanaugh, and they're like, you know, they were there yesterday, and they're standing there all respectfully and giving their opinions in coherent, you know, terse manner, and then these liberal goon women coming out, shame, shame, look at me when I'm talking to you, rah!
Clerk may continue.
Mr. Markey.
Smeagol.
Mrs. McCaskill.
McCaskill, you're about to get
Mr.
voted
Ramon.
out.
Mr. Menendez. Mr. Merkley. Mr. Moran. Ms. Murkowski.
Murkowski, you're gonna get voted out too, Murkowski.
Mr. Murphy.
Should have done what Collins did.
Mrs.
Collins
Murray.
is a real G.
Mr. Nelson. Mr. Paul. Mr. Perdue. Mr. Peters.
Mr. Peters.
Mr. Portman. Mr. Reed. Mr. Risch.
We've been through the fire before, Mr.
Mr.
Reed.
Roberts. Mr. Rounds. Mr. Rubio. Mr. Sanders.
Mr. Sanders.
Sass.
Bernie Sanders.
Mr.
Oh, Bernie.
Schatz. Mr.
I feel a
Schumer.
burn somewhere in my crotch. Harry
Mr.
Potter is
Sullivan.
wondering when you're going to call his name. Him and his friends from
Chester.
Hogwarts.
With my friend, the senator from Montana, Senator Daines, who is walking his daughter down the aisle this afternoon. If he were present and voting, he would have voted aye. I have voted no.
Oh.
The pair will not change the outcome of the vote. I therefore withdraw my vote.
The senator has that right.
Well, that's pretty cool, at least. Fairly respectful. Oh, look at the stenographer. She's got
Senators
like her
voting
little
in the affirmative.
fold-out stenographer thing. That's pretty
Alexander,
cool.
Barrasso, Blunt, Bozeman, Burr, Capito, Cassidy, Collins, Porker, Cornyn, Cotton, Crapo, Cruz, Enzi, Ernst, Fisher, Flake, Gardner, Graham, Grassley, Hatch, Heller, Hovind, Hyde-Smith, Thune, Tillis, Toomey, Wicker, Young.
What was that supposed to be? Did they already vote? Thought they were supposed to vote
Senators
now.
voting in the negative. Baldwin, Bennett, Blumenthal,
Here we
Booker,
go.
Brown, Cantwell, Cardin, Casey, Biden. Mr. Murphy? Mr. Murphy, no.
Now. And then... And then... And then... So exciting. Just a bunch of old people sitting at their school desks. Well, what do we all get here for again? Anybody order a pizza? What happened to the screaming lesbians? I done forgot why we got here. Dianne Feinstein. So, is there like a Supreme Court justice now, or what's happening? What is happening? Is that it? Is it Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh now? I haven't heard any liberal heads exploding. Maybe I should turn up the volume. Is that what do we do now? Alright, I guess we'll drink. Hooray! Ah! I liked beer, I still like beer. Justice Brett Kavanaugh. Cheers, everybody, cheers. It is a good day for America. Seems like people are getting up and leaving. I guess it's over. I don't know. Mike Pence, tell us what's up, bro. Okay, I guess that's the vote. I thought they were gonna say the ayes have it or something like that.
No.
I'm just waiting for Mr. Carper. Did you ever know that you're my hero? Where's Lindsey Graham? I want to see him just scream in excitement when this goes through.
As a reminder to our guests in the galleries, expressions of approval or disapproval are...
As a reminder, just a reminder,
gallery.
in case you weren't already told 25
Are there any
times in the last
senators
hour.
in the chamber who wish to vote or change a vote?
And then?
If not, on this vote, the ayes are 50, the nays are 48. The nomination of Brett M. Kavanaugh of Maryland to be an Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States is confirmed.
Woo! Woo! Cheers, everybody! Woo! National reciprocity of CCWs and all sorts of good stuff down the pipeline.
I suggest the action of quorum.
Sergeant at Arms.
Cheers, everybody. A good day for America.
Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Alexander.
Brilliant. A confirmation has been declared. And that, my friends, is democracy.
Ah.